don't have the capacity as at now to finance free primary, free secondary.
What country is this? Those are the things you are discussing in cabinet. Withdraw that statement. There's money in Kenya. There's money.
They are doing empowerment.
There's money. They are doing empowerment. A lot of empowerment. They have money. If you see the wastage in government, the money they waste per day can fund the entire education.
We cannot afford in this time in history to roll back the tremendous progress that our nation has made to make education accessible and affordable, especially at primary and secondary level.
This money that was meant for free education has been diverted by the National Treasury. The money is channeled through the security sectors, is withdrawn in cash and given to William Ruto.
Free education in Kenya, well, that has been the topic for the past 1 week. Kenya Kwanza might not be willing to support education, and even from the recent doing, many now can agree that, Kenya Kwanza isn't ready to support education in Kenya. I know, started all the way with the cabinet minister, saying that they don't have enough funds now to give the capitation for the schools in Kenya. But we know this started all way back in 2023 when this government was elected, and they started with the university funding model where they had to change everything, even how, help application is made and all that. So they have always been on the forefront to compromise, education in Kenya. But anyway, before we even dive deep into that, welcome back to another episode of We Kenyans, where we bring you the resilient voices of Kenyans and those who are trying to fight justice for Kenya. So, where do we even start from? I mean, today I want us to focus on the recent remarks by Kenya Kwanza government, and especially the cabinet minister. There have been so many contradictions between the minister and between some other Kenya Kwanza leaders that, the minister is saying they don't have the money to, increase the capitation or even to withhold the capitation that is already there. And now they want to reduce that capitation by over 5,000. That is, when they reduce that, it means that the parents will actually have to chip in more.
It is now evident the country can no longer sustain free education to over 16 million students across primary and secondary schools. Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi says the capitation of 22,244 shillings per secondary school student is now no longer tenable, and the government can only manage 16,900 shillings per learner.
Why then don't you come back to Parliament, tell us this money is not possible, tell the parents how they are going to address this issue of shortage, because schools cannot run without 16,000.
And by the way, let us not live a lie. If you take all the children in Kenya who are in high school, senior secondary school, if you take all of them and divide with our budget, which we give them, it is less than 22,000 shillings. That is what I'm saying. We don't have the capacity as at now to finance free primary, free secondary.
The CS, who was appearing before the Education Committee, said that owing to the high cost of examinations in the country, provision of the fees is no longer tenable, calling for scrutiny of the costs.
The cost of running examination in this country, just like the cost of running elections in this country, is not tenable. And it is exaggerated. And the Ministry of Education has also acknowledged that, and they are working on it. It was not right to pay school examination for all the children of Kenya. It is not right. You subsidize people who cannot. We need to engage in this conversation. Do we really have the capacity to be paying everything for our children?
Further, the CS has called for the consolidation of the NGCDF fund to fully fund free education in the country.
These monies that we have all over the place, we could consolidate them. For example, if you give me back NGCDF, give me 40% that you have allocated to bursaries, give it back to me. It is going to be over 20 billion, 22. Give it back to me.
It's going to disappear to the ministry.
I added to capitation.
No, it will
No,
disappear
we are
to the
looking for
ministry.
solution.
Article 53 of the Constitution guarantees every child the right to free and compulsory basic education, to which free primary education was introduced in 2003, whereas free day secondary education was introduced 5 years later.
Well, it's good to go back to, the initiators of free primary and secondary education in Kenya. And who did it better than Kibaki?
When we took over, we talked about beginning to develop education so that these children, all of them, regardless of the status of their parents, regardless of what wealth their parents have or don't have, that they could all get educated and get on very well.
And this has brought anger across, many Kenyans and many opposition leaders who have come out so clearly to criticize the government, saying that, this is bad and this is not showing a good sign, especially for our education system. They just started with compromising the CBC and compromising the funding models, and now they're touching on the capitation. So what is this government up to in terms of education? And what is their promise?
Minister Mbadi ametangaza jana na PS wa education naye akatangaza. PS wa education anasema serikali inafanya chochote kile bitok kuhakikisha kwamba capitation, pesa yenye inasaidia kupunguza school fees, iongezwe na ifike kwa shule zetu haraka iwezekanavyo. Huyo ni PS, Ministry of Education. Na Minister CS Treasury John Mbadi na yeye anasema serikali haina pesa ya kusomesha watoto wetu. President William Ruto, Your Excellency, this is why I, Boni Khalwale, do not believe in broad-based government. Because kama PS anaweza sema asungumzie kwa mdomo upande huu, na CS anazungumza kwa mdomo upande huu. Your Excellency, what became of collective government responsibility? Experiment yenye mnataka kufanya kwamba zawadi yenye Mwai Kibaki alitupatia ya masomo ya bure mnataka kuondoa. Sasa mnafungua vita na raia na wazazi na viongozi kama sisi wenye tuko na fikra endelezi. Education in Kenya must be free from primary, secondary up to university. Mbadi, sikia vizuri, ile excuse unasema ati wanafunzi wameongezeka, you do not understand demographics and how they move. As the population grows, the economy has grown, the government has more money, and therefore it must educate even children when their number increases. Pesa iko mingi, wa Kenya msikubali. Pesa ya kusomesha watoto wetu bure iko. Mbadi, kesho nenda ukae ukuje na cabinet paper kwetu katika bunge, we will support it, kwamba hii basari ya unyaona MCA ako na basari, governor ako na basari, MP ako na basari, yote mtoe huko, murudishe kwa treasury, ipeane kwa watoto for free primary education. Kwa sababu upuzi ya basari katika mikono ya wanasiasa, there is favoritism, deserving cases do not usually get.
As it is, we do not have enough members of academic staff across all universities. We are calling for the government to employ more lecturers in the universities. Therefore, the dream of retrenching any member of academic staff from universities, we will resist in the strongest terms possible. The government should be taking up the salaries of academic staff in public universities, just as it happens in schools, high schools, primary schools, basic education. The salaries of the teachers in that sector Even TVET is paid by government. None of the teachers is told to generate salary from the students they teach.
How can you imagine that you can retrench or lay off learned people? You think these are gunias that you can lay off anytime you feel like? These are people who have chewed books. You cannot lay them off. What country is this? Those are the things you are discussing in cabinet. You are thinking how to lay off professors. There's money. Withdraw that statement. There's money in Kenya. There's money.
They are doing empowerment.
There's money.
A lot of empowerment.
They are doing empowerment. A lot of empowerment. Why can't they?
It's not
helping us. They have money. If you see the wastage in government, the money they waste per day can fund the entire education.
Really sad to see that the dream and the vision that Kibaki and other leaders had is being compromised. Well, Kenya Kwanza leaders and including President Ruto and the Deputy President Kibaki have come out so strongly to support that they're not going to do away with the free basic education and the support that the government has been issuing, contradicting the remarks that were made by the cabinet secretary John Mbadi. And now Kenyans are asking themselves, what is really wrong? Are they speaking from the same language, or is this just them trying to change the tactics, where John Mbadi is coming to say this and the other leaders, including the president, is saying the opposite. So what is their stand? What is the Kenya Kwanza stand? Because when the cabinet secretary speaks, he speaks for the government, and even in the budget making process, and for them even to come up with that decision to make all these cuts, all these people had to sit together as the cabinet to make such ideas. So it's really ironical, actually, for the president and the deputy president to come out, strongly to say that they're not going to do away with that. Let us just listen to what President Ruto and Deputy President Kibaki said about Mbadi's remarks.
Mimi nataka niwahakikishie wananchi wa Kenya. Najua kumekuwa na tashwishi kidogo mambo ya elimu. And I want to state here that the Kenya Kwanza administration will go out of its way to make sure we do not roll back the gains our country has made in assuring free and compulsory primary education, which includes also secondary education. Mimi nataka niwahakikishia kwamba kuna kazi Rais Kibaki alifanya, kuna kazi Rais Uhuru Kenyatta alifanya, na hii serikali itaendeleza hiyo kazi, na hatuwezi kukubali ati turudi nyuma. Mambo ya elimu ya msingi, mambo ya elimu katika sekondari itaendelea kuwa vile ilikuwa, na tutaiendelea hata kuiboresha hata zaidi. Please ignore the naysayers. We cannot afford in this time in history to roll back the tremendous progress that our nation has made to make education accessible and affordable, especially at primary and secondary level. We cannot roll back those gains, and I want to assure you we will make all the necessary interventions to make sure that our education remains affordable, accessible, relevant, and of high quality.
Na mimi nataka niwahakikishie wa Kenya ya kwamba free primary education katika primary na secondary ni haki ya kikatiba ya wananchi wa taifa letu la Kenya. Na tumehakikisha ya kwamba in the last 2 years tumefanya mambo kadhaa to make sure that education is truly universal and truly accessible, because the commitment we have is that education is the greatest empowerment that any society, any country can give to its young people. And that is why education must be affordable, must be accessible,
must be of good quality and must be relevant. Na sababu hiyo ndio tumeweka pesa nyingi kujenga madarasa mpya. Kwa miaka miwili imepita tumejenga madarasa mpya 23,000. Hapa Nairobi peke yake niliwapatia wabunge wa Nairobi bilioni 1 kujenga madarasa mpya hapa Nairobi. Kwa sababu hapa Nairobi ndio tulikuwa na changamoto kubwa ya msongamano katika madarasa yetu na watoto wengi walikosa nafasi ya kusoma. Vile vile tumekubaliana ya kwamba mambo ya masomo katika university tumeongeza pesa ili tuhakikisha kwamba ile new funding model inahakikisha hakuna mtoto wa Kenya anawachwa nyuma, wapate wote nafasi ya kusoma.
Well, truly, even from hearing all these contradictions, I mean, between the president and his cabinet minister, it's really sad to see that we are having such conversations where the government is saying that they don't have, enough money to, run the, to fund the education model that we have in Kenya. And the reason that giving is a bit quite awkward, that the number of students have actually increased. But we all know that even in terms of the taxation, the number has gone high. And at the moment, the money we are collecting is more than even what the budget that Kibaki had. Kibaki had I think it was below 600 billion for a budget. And now we're talking about 4 trillion with the recent budget that was read by John Mbadi. And then for that, we are saying that education is supposed to be cut off instead of even increasing the capitation for the education. They're trying to cut it off. So what does this mean? It actually clearly shows that this government is not, in a good way to continue supporting the education in Kenya. And we've clearly seen that, ever since they came into power, they started with changing the university scholarship model. And the idea they had is that those who are able to pay can actually pay, and those from different backgrounds can be able to get a bigger percentage of the fund. So they came with the bands, from band 1 to band 5, but then the processes and how they decide that still questionable. But then all these actions have actually indicated that this government is not on a good way to support education.
I have just seen a clip in 2017 when William Ruto was deputy president. He was saying that if re-elected together with Uhuru Kenyatta, free education for primary and secondary will continue.
Mpaka form 4 watasoma bila malipo yoyote. Sasa kuanzia Januari mwaka ujao, masomo kutoka standard 1 mpaka form 4 itaendelea bila ya wazazi kulipa school fees.
He is president. He has trashed all that. And what is sad is that this money that was meant for free education has been diverted by the National Treasury, by the experts ODM brought to government. They have diverted money for education. The money is channeled through the security sectors, is withdrawn in cash and given to William Ruto. This money William Ruto uses to bribe leaders, church leaders, to bribe members of parliament, to bribe members of the county assembly, to bribe everybody in Kenya for political support. The bulk of this money is what Soprano is using all over the country. This money that was meant for education is what this Soprano guy is having helicopters, the way Professor has said. Today they were in Mombasa. The helicopters are almost having an accident in the air because of the sheer number of helicopters hovering all over. And this is money that was meant for education. And I cannot understand how Soprano, who is a professor, would want to take part in going round wasting money meant for education on nonsense and politics. But sometimes I was just thinking about it last night. How did we get here? Why is William Ruto destroying education? And I thought about it at night, and I have come to the conclusion is the advisors he has chosen. William Ruto has been very advisors, very educated, but they are all flower girls. They don't advise him on anything, they are just for show. I was his deputy, so I know. When I tell you, I know what happens. He has two advisors whom he takes advice from. Oscar Sudi, who is a standard 3 dropout. Farouk Kibet, who is a standard 6 dropout. So these two advisors have no value for education. So they have advised William Ruto to get money meant for education and take it to bribe people on useless empowerment programs that are not empowering anybody. I saw a lady in Kisii complaining that after spending the whole day for the empowerment program, she has a group of 31 people that were given 2,000 shillings. All this money is stolen by Soprano and the members of parliament. And this is the money that was meant for education.
This is a clear sign that they've seen Kenyans are, becoming more clever. They know this is not good for them, because when Kenyans become clever, they not have anyone to hunt with, and that is why they want to interfere with this knowledgeable system to ensure that many are actually compromised not to further their education. But anyway, people are awake, and they're not going to give them an easy time in terms of them, failing to continue with the legacies that Kibaki had, and even supported by President Kenyatta. So we're waiting to see how this will come out. Are they really true for what they say, that they're going to support education? Anyway, so that brings me to the end of this. What do you think? Do you think Kenya Kwanza is it a good point of supporting the education system, or they are on the down lane to make sure that this doesn't work? Because these signs are just there, and if this government gets a second term, then we're about to witness a very crumbling system. Tell me in the comment section what you think, and if Ruto is genuine about supporting education, even from his recent remarks. I mean, that was it. If you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know what you're still waiting for. I want you to take 3 seconds of this video to just hit on that subscribe button, and also hit on that notification bar, so that anytime we do a video, you're able to be notified. Until next time, see you then. We Kenyans divide.